This is Learn from Others, where we interview a cross-section of successful individuals so you can learn from their experiences, achievements, and even their mistakes. We ask 4 questions that will educate and inspire. Greg Stanley will be your guide as we join our guest on a journey from adolescent daydreaming to success in today's world. Join us on this adventure as we learn from others together.
Welcome to Learn from Others. This is Greg Stanley, and I'm very excited to introduce our special guest, Chris Heacox. Chris, thank you for taking us on your career journey today.
Thanks for having me today, Greg.
No problem. Before we find out what you are doing today, let's start at the very beginning. And can you tell us what you wanted to be when you grew up?
The first recollection that I have growing up is that I wanted to be a dentist. I know that's the craziest thought.
Is crazy.
Many people don't enjoy going, but I had a great experience growing up with my female dentist in Florida, and I liked what she did. I thought it was pretty cool, and that was what I wanted to be when I was about 8 or 9, 10 years old.
Wow. Okay. That's pretty cool. Not many folks have that type of career occupation in mind when they're 8 or 9 years old, so that's different.
No, and I've gone a little bit in the opposite direction of that as well.
Right. Well, what was your first job? And this doesn't necessarily have to be one that you got a paycheck for. It could be something you did as a little kid and you got couple dollars for it.
Yeah, so my first job was babysitting.
Okay.
I remember babysitting younger kids in the neighborhood. So I have a younger brother who's 3 years younger, and so some of his friends and some that were a little bit younger than that, I would babysit for. I believe when I was growing up, I think I was the only teenager, like 13, 14, 15, in my neighborhood, so it made it convenient for the other families that I was able to babysit.
And they all survived, right?
They did. Knock on wood, right?
Right. Well, what was your first real job, one that you did get a paycheck for?
So growing up, my mother was in banking, and I worked in the summertime at the bank as a helper, assistant in the maintenance and supplies and delivery departments. So that would mean going around with individuals changing light bulbs, fixing doorknobs, making deliveries for mail, making deliveries for supplies like office supplies. And I did that for my entire high school career, which was it was fun. It was good. It gave me an opportunity to see a lot of different systems, from a marketing department to loan department to everything that happens in a bank. So that was probably my first experience in really seeing how a multifaceted business operates from a very different perspective.
Yeah, that's really cool because you wouldn't necessarily think if you're doing type of changing on a doorknob that you would see that, but it sounds like you were able to pick up a lot of the different departments within that banking organization. So that's really cool that you're able to get that. Yeah,
and absolutely. And the other thing was, it was the thing that it really instilled in me also is this relationship building. It was very much a service-oriented position, but you're interacting with people as you're doing things in their office or seeing them communicate with others and doing their job. You really saw that collaborative relationship, collaborative work environment, and the relationship building that it takes to get things done.
Wow, that's awesome. So did you have a favorite subject or hobby in school?
So there would be 2, and they tie back to what I do now and what I wanted to be. So in high school, I was in band and very participated heavily in it. And I also was a big chemistry person. So I loved chemistry, took chemistry and AP chemistry and all that. So that was kind of, when I was in high school, I thought I was going to go into the medical field, so taking the sciences, chemistry, that reinforced that notion that I was going to go on and do that.
Wow, so dentistry and chemistry and music.
And then music, yes.
Okay. Well, cool. So now we understand where you started. Can you take us to what you're doing today and include like your educational path and jobs you had that led up to your current role?
Absolutely. So I am the executive director of the J and Susie Gogue Performing Arts Center at Auburn University. We are under construction, so in the role that I am now, I'm building the team, the infrastructure, the program, and the facility for a university performing arts center and performing arts series at Auburn University in Auburn, Alabama. The way that I got here, I was a music major in college. I went to Florida State University and studied saxophone. And then after graduating, I went to the Eastman School of Music at the University of Rochester and received a Master's of Music in Jazz and Contemporary Media on the performance side. And my goal from there was to teach college. So I taught at the University of North Florida in Jacksonville and also taught at Stetson University for a few years and realized that that path was not where my heart was. I realized that teaching was not really what I thought it was going to be, but I wanted to find a way that I could impact students and communities in the arts. And it took me full circle back to my undergraduate college experience and professors that were supporting me and saying, you really should look at the business side, the administrative side. I think that the work that you do and your eye and the business acumen that you have, with that, you would be better suited or happier doing the other thing. And it was one of those things, I think I didn't hear it until I heard it.
Right.
And when I heard it after teaching, it really made a huge impact. And so when I got my first job in arts administration, which was in Florida, I realized very quickly that I could do the work of arts presenting and the educational aspect of it at a university. And so my career path started on that journey about 17 years ago and has led me at a few other universities and other organizations. Namely, I was at Brevard College in North Carolina for a short time. Most recently, I was at Florida State University doing the same thing. And then this opportunity at Auburn, which is really a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for someone in my field to be able to build a program from the ground up at a very prestigious Southeastern Conference university. Very fortunate to be able to be given this opportunity, and we're having a great time building this new building and facility here at Auburn.
So this might be a somewhat hard question to answer, but what is your typical day like? Because it sounds like you're all over the place.
I am. Typical day looks like a lot of different things. It could be fundraising for the building or for programs that we are developing. It could be interviewing people for positions here. It could be on the construction site with architects and general contractors and university facility folk working on an issue or solving a problem or something of that nature. Could be having meetings with administration here at the university, setting vision for what our academic programs are going to look like. Could be working alongside my colleagues at the museum and developing collaborative multidisciplinary programming for the future. Could be traveling, seeing work across the country that we are looking at bringing here. Could be traveling, working with our constituencies in the state and beyond. I mean, it's on and on and on. That's one of the great things about what we do, is that every day is different. There's a new challenge, a new opportunity every day.
Never bored,
it's a lot
for
of
sure.
Fun. Never bored, absolutely not.
So when you travel to see if there's something you might bring over, make that more real for me? Is that a performance? What would you see somewhere else that you would try to bring over? Yeah,
that's a good question. So this is the part of the job that everyone thinks this is like the very glamorous part of work, and I guess it is. So no matter what it is, if we're presenting a concert, if it's a musician, or if we're presenting a dance company or a Broadway musical or anything that you would see on stage, it's our responsibility as curators and programmers to see the work in person so that we can translate it from a marketing standpoint, from a programmatic standpoint to our audiences, and also to see if it's something that we think our audiences would enjoy. So a big part of my job and in the programming side is to go and see things. So there are opportunities when we have conferences in our field to see work. There's opportunities like, for instance, in the next couple of weeks, I'm going to be heading up to New York to see a few things. We have meetings with different artists about work that they're doing and the possibility of bringing the work to our communities. So that's kind of what it looks like. I mean, it could be traveling to New York or LA or Nashville or
Right. Yep.
even in your backyard if there's something in Atlanta. It doesn't matter. There's always work that's traveling the country, and part of our job is to go and see it and see how it translates for our communities.
Great. Okay. Well, before we move on to our next question, let's take a moment to hear from our sponsors. Do you enjoy your job and find it fulfilling? Or do you spend more time wondering what if instead of what's next? If so, contact Career Spa. Career Spa has extensive programs and curriculum and understands the challenges faced by individuals in transition. They can teach these success practices to be mastered for an effective job search. Answer that what if question by contacting Career Spa and asking their experts, what's next? Contact Career Spa at careerspa.net. Talent acquisition is key to building a successful organization. Talent Connections is a professional services firm that specializes in recruiting, including executive search, contract recruiting, talent acquisition consulting, and recruitment process outsourcing. Whether you are an individual or a Fortune 100 company, Talent Connections can connect you with success. Contact them at talentconnections.net. Welcome back. We just learned what you wanted to be when you grew up and what you're actually doing today, including walking us through how you got there. So if you could do it all over again, is there anything that you would do differently? Now, this could be additional education or experiences that you think would have helped you, or maybe even a different vocation, but it sounds like you are very well placed.
Absolutely. I think that I wouldn't be where I am today if it weren't for all of the experiences that I had, from middle school all the way up. But what I would say, there's one thing that I always kind of go back to as, I wouldn't say a regret, but something that I wish I would have participated in. As an undergraduate student at Florida State University, there's been a long-standing tradition of student presenting, and there's a student organization that presents work at a place called the Club Down Under, and they're very well known for presenting indie bands and all sorts of things for years and years and years. So I was not really aware that there was this thing. I had gone a couple of times, but I didn't understand what it was until I went back as an employee years later, and I look back and say, if I would have just kind of opened my eyes maybe a little bit more and seen that, I think that some of those experiences that I could have gained as a student on the business side might have moved me quicker through the process, but maybe it wouldn't have. But that's the one thing that I kind of look back at, is there was this opportunity. And so when I speak to students that are interested in this field and want to explore the opportunities, I always tell them that I give them that example and say, I did not, I was kind of too scared, or I just wasn't looking for it to participate, and I always, reinforce, take advantage of everything you possibly can. Those resources are there for you to grow, and use it as a learning experience. So I would say that that's probably the one thing. But it's great because I can use it to help others, and that's how I look at it.
Yeah, it's really just immersing yourself in the potential field that you would like to work in. I've heard that quite a bit, and whether it's through that type of forum or it's through a part-time job, I want to see if this is something I'm really interested in. So, okay, well, that's
Absolutely.
Cool. Yeah. Well, let's make the assumption that someone would like to do what you're doing today. Is there a typical career path, or what advice would you give them?
I wouldn't say there's a typical career path, because if you took a survey of people that do what we do or work in our industry, in the entertainment industry, it's all over the place. I would say that colleges and universities in the last probably 15, 20 years, maybe even less than that, have started to add more arts administration programs to their curriculum. And so there are opportunities at a lot of different universities to study and then make that transition. But really, the ones that are successful are, again, to the point that that we were just talking about are immersing themselves in those opportunities. And so at most universities, there are student programming councils, there are programming boards that people can get involved in. Again, colleges and community colleges a lot have performing arts series where there are student workers or student internships where people can participate, and through those directors like myself have relationships with agents and managers and artists to be able to provide other internship opportunities. So typically what happens is someone might be interested in the field either as a music major or a theater major or even a history major, whatever your major is, and they might go to New York and intern, or they might go to a performing arts center and intern, or an orchestra and intern, and that develops those relationships. You kind of figure out which side of the house do you want to work in, development or programming or marketing. And then those experiences build a resume, and you go out and look for that work. So really it's about finding those opportunities to have meaningful internships, part-time employment, student employment, volunteerism, and working your way up.
Right. Okay. No, that's great. Did you have a mentor? And if so, how did they influence your career?
That's a good question. I think that from a mentorship standpoint, I would say that in the field, it's changed as I've moved through the different aspects of my career. So I wouldn't say that I've actually had one. I would say that there are a number of people that I have on a short list that I go to with specific questions that can answer those. And I'm always looking to build that network. I think it's extremely important that all of us, no matter what it is that we're doing, have those people that we can go to answer questions, to get advice on things that they've already done, to see if, to kind of bounce off your ideas. Especially right now, I'm in a place where I'm building this facility, and it's the first one that I've done in my career. So there are a handful of individuals that have done this before me. So I have this again, small Rolodex of people that when something comes up that I might feel like I need to bounce some things off of, there's an email or a phone call or a text immediately. Again, building those relationships, finding people that do what you want to do, and developing a relationship, I think is extremely important. It's one thing that's been very valuable to me.
Okay. No, that's great. So are there any current projects you're working on that you would like to share? And I know you've referenced your current job and stuff that's currently under construction. So what more can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so Auburn University is building a new 82,000 square foot performing arts center called the J and Susie Gogue Performing Arts Center. And the project is officially today, as we record this, 1 year from opening.
Oh, okay.
And so 365 days we'll be opening the building with its first performance for our students here on campus. And it's a great project. We have 1,200-seat theater, the Waltos Theater, that is state-of-the-art. It's designed so that one day you can have a Broadway show, you can flip it to have a classical orchestra the next day. So it's really designed to do a lot of different things. One of the other great things about the building is we're building an outdoor amphitheater space that can hold about 3,000 to 4,000 people in the exterior, with hookups for food trucks and all the kind of amenities that are needed for outdoor performances and festivals and so forth. So it's a huge project that's on the south entrance of the university. It's being built across the street from our museum, the Jewel Collins Smith Museum of Fine Art. And what's really exciting about it, during this time at Auburn University, we're building this arts district, which is the entryway to campus. And on the west side of this arts district is the innovation district that's being built at the same time, or being built up, I should say, at the same time, which is our research park. And so we have this really super exciting time here at Auburn where the arts and research are coming together in this south end of campus. And the growth in the community, the growth on campus with both of these things is again, a really big growth moment for the university, for this community, and for the state of Alabama. So it's very exciting to be a part of this project here at the university.
Do you have your first performer booked yet?
It's a good question. I get that question every day, Greg, and the answer is no. And I say that because there's not pen to paper, but yes, we've been working for quite some time to start putting those performances together, scheduling out our first season, scheduling out our opening festival, and it's an ongoing process. So we probably have, for our first year, maybe 15-20% of our calendar scheduled, which is pretty good this early out.
Well, if you get in a jam, give me a call. I'll pull my French horn out of the attic and
absolutely.
See what I can
do. Yeah, we can play duets. Let's do that.
French horn saxophone duet. I don't think that's ever been done.
We'll get someone to write it for us.
Awesome, cool. Well, as we close, with most journeys, success largely depends on reliable transportation. So, since I'm a huge car guy, could you tell us what was your first car?
So, as a freshman in high school, I guess it was junior high back then. My first car was a light blue 85 Nissan Pulsar.
Oh my God, I totally remember that car. Wow, yeah. That's a flashback.
I know. It got me to and from. Yes.
Wow. What's your dream car, if you have one?
I don't know if I have one right now. I guess my dream car is one that it's more of the idea of being able to get everybody and everything in it. is for me. No, I would probably say Porsche Cayenne right now is my dream car.
That is a gorgeous SUV. It's okay to say Honda Odyssey.
No, no. I think, but it's until the kids get old enough that they don't want to spill goldfish and juice boxes. We'll have to wait for the Cayenne.
Well, one great perk to some jobs is a company car. So if I had all the money in the world, I would love to buy you a cool company car. With that in mind, I'd like to pick one out for you.
Great.
All right, so I went classic on you.
Okay.
My thought is you need to get somewhere fairly quick. You need a lot of space in the trunk. I figured, if it can hold 16 saxophones, that would be pretty cool.
Yes.
And it's something that you want to arrive in style with, because I assume you're going to probably a lot of events and concerts and stuff. Mm-hmm. So I picked out a 1961 Chrysler 300G. Now, if you're unfamiliar with this car, I'll post some pictures online. But what's cool about this car is the last Chrysler that had the big fins in the back, and it's I picked a convertible. They only made 337 convertibles, and it had angular headlights. It is a gorgeous car. They used to call it the banker's hot rod because it was for individuals that were successful but wanted to get around quick. The other cool thing about it is one of the options, and you have such a deep music background, is that you could get an RCA Auto Victrola, I'm pronouncing that wrong, but record player under the dash, and it would actually play singles, and you could stack 14 of them in there, believe it or not. So
your own jukebox in the car,
right? And
that's great.
And the dash is gorgeous. It actually looks like a jukebox from the 1950s when it's lit up at night. So that's the car I would pick for you if I had all the money in the world.
Well, I'm going to Google it immediately.
All right, cool. 1961 Chrysler 300G convertible. So check out the interior. Yeah, it's really cool. So, well, thank you so much, Chris, for taking us on your career journey. What's the best way for our listeners to learn more about you and your company?
Best way is to go to our website, which is Gogue Center, which is GOGUE Center.auburn.edu.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for your time today.
Thank you so much, Greg.
Thank you for listening to Learn from Others, where we help others succeed by sharing success. Where will our next adventure take us? Subscribe to find out. If you know of someone who has a cool career story or occupation, contact Greg through Instagram at Greg Stanley LFO. That's GregStanley LFO. And we will see you soon as we learn from others together.